Hey, so what to expect over these next 90 days or so for this election coming up? Now, I'm going to talk about Harris and Walz as they are the presumptive nominees. We have Vance and Trump as well. And all I'm going to do is do a quick overview of their numbers, their sun and their moon, and their Venus star point. And if you're not familiar with the Venus star point, it's just the alignment of the sun, earth, and Venus before you were born. So as you're into uterine, well, all your needs are getting met. The Venus alignment of joy, Venus, the earth, where this drama is being played out, and the sun, the consciousness, says you can be morning star, which is the warrior, where Venus is in between the sun and earth, or you can be lover, otherworldly side of Venus, where Venus is on the other side of the sun. So just know that, ladies first, of course. Kamala Harris is born October 20th, 1964, and so she is a morning star Gemini, and she's born a year that the Civil Rights Act was passed in July of 64. So while she was into uterine, America was making good on a second reconstructive promise from the mid to late 19th century with Reconstruction, and then the fact that we still had second class citizenship. So she comes in being this networking, independent energy, independent and interdependent, and with the Gemini morning star, warrior for words, warrior for negotiation, warrior for connection, with her Mercury in Scorpio. So there's the prosecutorial energy. There is all the money she's raising. I mean, it's just the aspect of her aligning that Libran ability to radiate equilibrium, because it's only when we balance the pillars of judgment and severity with the pillar of mercy and compassion that we can get the inner equilibrium that brings in harmonic states. Now, the Republican, and she was born just 17, 18 minutes before a full moon. Let's breathe on that. People born before a full moon are full of their lunar subjective story. So the more that she talks about her Jamaican, hello Shirley Chisholm and that energy, not Jamaican but Caribbean, and her personal story of Indian energy, just how she knew how she would be treated as a brown skinned woman with our one drop of blood thing. And I've got the sun and moon behind me to give you that sense of what that means. The sun is our impartial radiance of our individual spirit. La Familia, let's breathe, right? So take that in. The sun shines on everyone. So the season or the sun sign is that relationship between light and dark and how you radiate. Well, Libran suns radiate that ability to take things under advisement. It's the sign of the scales, and she's a lawyer. Now, the Gemini sun that former President Trump is more of an oscillating energy. There's more light in the northern hemisphere with the Gemini energy, but their duality and all mutable when the seasons are changing are dual, so they can get stuck in their heads, their minds about certain belief systems. And he's born on a lunar eclipse, approximately 2.5 hours before a lunar eclipse. And our basic difference is with the family pattern being blocked, it can suggest the solar energy, of which that's his chart ruler because he's Leo rising with Mars there. You can come from ego, the unfiltered ego of Leo, or you can come from the authentic, heartfelt intelligence of Leo. And there's a spectrum. No one's 100% of one or the other. But at the point of our development as a country, he is an embodiment of ego, the personification of ego. But what we've learned in these past years since his introduction onto the national stage as a candidate has been, did you know the certification was on January 6th of the votes that happened in November? Did you know the Secretary of States in each of the states have to certify the voting? I mean, you know, civics class. And here's the lawyer. I needed to be reminded or remembered, hello, Mercury retrograde, and realize we're in one now, a Mercury retrograde. So let's just reevaluate, review have a renaissance, a rebirth about how we approach these aspects of wholeness, a la our raw material. Now, Kamala is, when you add up her birth date, she is a 5, a 55. So there's a cosmic order kind of piece to her. You know, that there's a level of being led to this. And realize, I want to be clear that we're going to evolve no matter what as a collective. And it's too easy to allow resignation and indifference to take over. But with her moon in Aries and Tim Walz having a sun in Aries, also born in 1964, the golden year in Chinese astrology, wood dragons. Wood brings in the ancestry, the family tree. Wood is a complete element in the sense that it brings in the water, it needs the air to grow, the sunlight and fire and the earth. And so the wood, when you're a wood element, you're kind of all things, right? Because we need that in order to sustain our food, our vegetation. Anyway, enough of that. But know that Tim Walz, being born 4/6, 1964, he's an evening star in the sign of Virgo. Looks like his moon is in Aquarius. At least the card I pulled for him says he leans more into that, you know, libertarian, if we're going to use that, but all for one for all. The quintessential, how do we align our higher and inclusive communal ideals? Kamala, the card I pulled for her, was the death card. And certainly there will be a lot of humility needed, but the death is about the collective forces that we all are here to learn to celebrate. And then the former President Trump is a 4 birth path. And part of the 4 birth path, at least in the card that I also put for him, it's an inner child woundedness card. It's the stories or narrative that's told. And we got love, inclusiveness, or we have fear. And when you're Gemini 4, evening star Aquarius, so he's abstract, otherworldly, you know, and when an Aquarius, a la raw material, our raw material, is refusing or is not aligning with their ideals, aligning with their intention, then they can easily be sociopathic, narcissistic, just wanting to take from the group in an adolescent way, not give back to the group. And come on, I'm not going to go over examples of that. Just know that in some ways, when you're the height of being a young soul or an adolescent soul, you are as far away from the source or the Tao or God as possible. And the personal is political. So let's just understand that even choosing J.D. Vance, and this happened before Biden dropped out or passed the baton over to Kamala, what I saw was, oh, you only have one path to the 270 anachronistic, racist, sexist, indigenous, against all just the democracy in of itself, because we're in a democratic republic. Understand, what I saw by the choosing of J.D. Vance in July was, oh, you only have one way to Ohio, because it was, I mean, to the 270, because it was so craven to get this August 2nd. He just turned 40. His moon is in Libra, so he got this double air energy. It's insubstantial, even though he's Leo. But realize, if you are an older soul, or if your older soul nature is coming into this dimension to help you be inclusive and of integrity and maturity, you don't really start to do that with any regularity. No one really does. You might be a little bit earlier than 35 doing this, but normally, and some of these children born after 83 with Pluto and Scorpio, hello, yeah, y'all probably get a little bit earlier, but generally, no, it's later. But with J.D. Vance having Gemini, a Gemini more evening star, let me be clear, Kamala's morning star Gemini with Mercury in Scorpio is gonna just run rings around his Mercury in Virgo. And so does Walz. His Mercury is in Aries. So there is, with Mars. So the amount of passion and power, and hello to his signing the Prince Highway in purple ink. I saw that too. But his governor of Minnesota will put on another pathway, and to 270, even going through what they call the Sun Belt. Mark Kelly, maybe he'll end up being Secretary of State. Point is, and then we got Pete Buttigieg. I mean, there are so many people or surrogates that are believable and have integrity, because as we move into the Aquarian age, which none of these politicians, and certainly America, no one on this planet is above cosmic law, no matter how comic it may appear to us. Drop the S in cosmic, you get comic. The corruption is being purged as we cusp on the Aquarian age and the age of Google, Facebook. What's the other A? Facebook is fame. Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. All right. But as we look at artificial intelligence and how it takes over, or is about to, or wanting to, we still have the authentic intelligence of our hearts. The authentic intelligence of our hearts. Our souls, how we're rooted together. Before our raw material, I described the soul as our witness. It witnesses our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. Congruent or incongruent? We are our own judge, jury, and executioner. And so, I'm not here to prognosticate. But what I am here to do is just, let's look at the symbolism, people. We're 248 years old as a country. Chinese astrology has been around a lot longer than that. And the fact that we've got these two dragons, and if anybody's going to bring some magic of combining elements that haven't been combined before, is some goddamn dragons. And so the myth of that energy is that they need tigers, because tigers control the mountains. So does oxen, but tigers really do. So former President Obama, oxen, and that energy of the standing still, taking those deep breaths, understanding that the stillness is within, the meditative, the contemplative, that do not get it twisted. The distraction of our smartphone and of the media and all of that is there, yeah, for entertainment, but how do you entertain yourself on a divine level? How do you seek your own inner perspective, your soul's voice? And I'm just saying that it's going to be fascinating to watch just the interaction between an Aries and Walz, the governor of Minnesota, who's been around for a little piece of time, and a new senator, or the junior senator from Ohio. Leo, born the year of the rat, he may self-destruct. Who knows? As we reach the beginning of October, shit, they may even replace his ass. Who knows? But the point is that he could burn out or have some challenges regarding the split in his personality, the Gemini Libra, because that is a crisis and action angle between his sun and moon. While Walz being a waning moon, Aries with the moon in Cap, or Aquarius, I'm really thinking it's Aquarius, he's a crisis in consciousness. So he wants to challenge the prevailing systems. While both presidential nominee Kamala and former President Trump are right before a full moon, so their subjective stories are what will and do ignite us. Thanks for listening. And are you morning or evening? Are you warrior or lover? And since it's the Venus energy and Venus star, you get to spend time between both. Good looking out. And there'll be more to come. And I just put some of this on TikTok, and I've been asking around, doing my own version of speaking to people about that medium. But I appreciate your support. Thank you.